So, how much formal education is needed for CNA field?
You have to complete the state certification class, which is usually about 80 hours worth of work, and usually 20 of it has to be in the clinical setting.
What sort of special training or advanced degree is required?
For the CNA, the training that you need is to complete that 80-hour state curriculum and the clinicals, and then you have to take the state test, which is a written computer test and a skill performance test where you do 3 skills in 20 minutes.
What are the most important characteristics for entering the field?
You have to be able to manage your time well, be relatively physically strong, work well with others in a team, and be able to think critically or really think about what might be changing for a patient or get to know their patients very well. So, very friendly person.
Important skills?
Good interaction with other people, good communication skills, work well in a team, great career and employability skills like showing up on time, being able to manage a schedule, those types of things.
What type of summer jobs would prepare me for career success?
You could work in a assisted living, a nursing home, the hospital, adult foster care. Any of those would give you experience.
Okay. What is your job title?
The job title would be a CNA or Certified Nurse Assistant.
Okay. Could you describe your organization as in its goal, size, and structure?
The organization, like that you would be working at, they could vary from something really small where there's only about 7 people living there in an assisted living, and they could be someone with like Down syndrome or cerebral palsy that just needs a little bit of assistance, and you're there to kind of oversee things, all the way to the hospital like spectrum where there's thousands of patients in many units, and you could have 20 patients that you're responsible for there in a shift.
What are entry-level positions?
Home health aide, CNA, caregiver, nurse aide ones. Those are usually the ones that are entry. Dietary aide.
How many hours per week are you expected to work?
That can vary. You can work resource and only have to work, I think it's 16 hours every 6 weeks. Or you can work a shift or a part-time and work 20 hours every week. Or you can be full-time and work 40 hours. It's totally up to you.
Can you make additional hours?
Usually, yes, because those positions are always in demand, and so they usually will let you work overtime or pick up extra hours.
Can you describe a typical day on the field?
If it's a day shift, it's getting patients up, dressed, teeth brushed, ready for the day, monitoring vital signs, walking patients, changing them, helping them to the bathroom, getting them food, things like that, feeding them, getting them to activities for the day and back from activities. If it's an afternoon or evening shift, it's usually getting them up from a nap feeding them, getting them ready for bed, showering them, taking them to activities, and again, vital signs, monitoring those.
What are the most satisfying and the most frustrating parts of the job?
The most satisfying is you get to make a lot of difference in people's lives, so you feel like you accomplished something at the end of the day because they're happy that you helped them usually, and you get to know them, so you develop a relationship with them. What was the other one?
Frustrating.
The most frustrating is you usually are running short-staffed, or there's more work than what you can handle, so you feel like you're always behind, or like you're not doing a good enough job because you're trying to keep up.
How has the field changed since you first started your career?
We now have machines to do some of the lifting for us instead of us having to do them or manually cranking the machine up. So we have automatic machines. Laws and regulations have changed because patients were hurt, like by side rails being left up and they suffocated between the side rail and the bed. So now we have things like make sure you have the side rail down. Some of the rules and regulations about what you can and can't do with patients has changed. That's some of the biggest ones.
What's the major challenge you face today?
Having enough time to get it all done and being strong enough to be able to lift the patients, not injure yourself while you're lifting them.
How has the job market for your field in this area of the country?
There's tons of jobs available in this area for a CNA, so there's a very large need for people to go into the field.
Is there an area that's best for starting such a career?
Usually people start in the nursing home to get experience, and then transition to the hospital or choose to work in the hospital after that because it's not as demanding as working in a nursing home.
How long should I expect to stay in an entry-level position?
2 years to 4 years while you finish your college degree.
Is there any opportunities for advancement?
Tons of opportunity for advancement if you complete a college degree. There's all kinds of other healthcare careers like respiratory therapy, ultrasound, radiology, nursing, laboratory technician, all of those you could go into.
How do you find your first job after graduating?
You can look online. There's tons of them posted online that show them. You can ask your instructor. They usually know good places to look at for applications. Hospitals are great websites to look at because they usually have a bunch of them posted. Newspaper has some even in it that are posted. Area specialty, if there's an area you wanted to go into like psychology or rehab for Pine Rest or Mary Free Bed rehab, you could look at those places on their website.
Can you describe your career path? How have you progressed to your present position?
Well, I started working as a CNA in the nursing home for 4 months. And then I worked home health for a man who hit his car into a tree and was in a wheelchair, so I just worked in his house with him for a year. Then I worked in the hospital for several years as a CNA or a nurse tech, and I completed my nursing degree, and I worked as a nurse for 10 years, and then I completed my master's in education and started teaching and still worked in the nursing field, and then I just am completing in April my master's in science and nursing. So then I will just continue to teach and work as a nurse.
How did you get in this field? Did someone or something significant impact your choosing?
A lot of time, for me, I knew I liked health, content, was enjoying in school. Like, I enjoyed those classes, so I knew I wanted to do something in health. I had been sick as a kid, a lot of years with a disease, so I knew I wanted to go into something health related. And I started out as a physician assistant major, but then realized that I had to have hours of care in order to get into PA school. So I switched to nursing, and then I just really liked nursing, so I stuck with nursing after that.
What are things that you find personally rewarding in your career?
Being able to help patients and affect their lives and make things easier for them, or offer them options and insight to be able to care for them and help them get better. That's what I think is really rewarding, is being able to help people.
How can a CNA impact a patient's health?
Because you provide a lot of care for them that's going to help them with getting better, so you can walk with them so that they can get stronger and be able to go back home maybe. You can help them learn new ways of being able to do things so that they can be more independent, to be able to take care of themselves better. You can help them if they're depressed by just being friendly and a person they can look forward to seeing every day. So there's lots of things that you can do.
What do you do when a resident rejects care?
Well, they have the right to reject care if they want to. So if it's something important, you might ask them why, or to explain why they don't want to do something, or if you could help them with the reason why, or offer an alternative option. Sometimes you have to come back later because the time's not good and try again. Sometimes offering an alternative, like if they don't want to eat their dinner because it doesn't look appealing to them, maybe you could get them a sandwich instead, or something, an alternate for them.
What do you do if a patient falls?
You have to complete a incident report, let the staff know so they can check them for injuries, try to learn from the experience and find out, what could have been done differently so that the patient wouldn't fall and not repeat that mistake.
Mm-hmm.
And then just make sure that the resident's okay and give them the care that they need.
If a resident can't move, what do you do?
They can't move.
Mm-hmm.
If it's something new, you would want to tell your nurse so that they can evaluate them and find out what's going on. If it's something that's chronic or been there for a while, you would use assistive devices to help move them, like get a teammate to help you roll them back and forth, or get like the maxi lift or one of the lifts in order to be able to move them.
Can you better their health or keep it under control?
You can better their health by making sure they get the medications that they need when they're supposed to, walking with them so that they get the exercise that they need, getting them to social activities so they get the stimulation that they need and get to see their friends so they don't get depressed, things like that.
Okay. Is there any additional information you can give me, or any advice?
It's a great entry-level position that allows you to get a good job in order to get paid well enough to finish a college degree. But my advice is to make sure you finish that college degree so that you can move to something that's not so physically demanding, pays better, has benefits, and allows you to be more successful going forward in life. And my recommendation would be to do it in the hospital as soon as you possibly can, because working in the nursing home is really hard work.
Yeah.
It'll wear you out.
Okay, that's all.